Close your eyes for a moment and imagine. The deafening roar of a lion echoes through time and space. But when you open your eyes, it's not a lion you see. It's a lamb that looks like it was killed, but is standing, alive and majestic. Before this lamb, the whole universe holds its breath. In his hands is a sealed scroll, containing the secrets of the destiny of creation. And now, this lamb, who is both victim and victor, is about to break the seals. What you are about to witness is not just a story, it's history. It is the unfolding of the divine plan that spans from the creation of the cosmos to its glorious finale. It is a narrative that intertwines the past, present, and future into a celestial carpet of cosmic proportions. But beware, what you see may challenge everything you thought you knew about God, the world, and yourself. It can shake the very foundations of your reality. You see, in the hand of the Lamb is not only the fate of the world, your destiny lies. The revelations that are about to be unveiled are not mere distant prophecies. They speak directly to your life, your fears, your hopes, and your deepest dreams. So get ready, take a deep breath, because when the first seal is broken, there will be no turning back. You will be transported on a journey through time and eternity, witnessing events that will shape the course of history and your very existence. Are you ready to have your mind expanded, your heart touched, and your soul transformed? Are you ready to see beyond the veil and contemplate the mysteries of the divine plan? If so, then come. The Lamb is about to act, and the universe waits expectantly. This is not just another biblical story. It is the invitation to participate in the most epic drama ever conceived. In the blink of an eye, you find yourself transported to a place that defies all human comprehension. It is as if you have pierced an invisible veil, leaving behind the world you knew and entering a reality so vast, so majestic, that your heart almost stops beating. You are standing, if you can use that expression, in what appears to be an infinite hall. Its dimensions are so colossal that the mind struggles to comprehend them. The grandest cathedrals, the most imposing skyscrapers you have ever seen, would seem like mere grains of sand compared to this vastness. The walls, if they can be called that, are made of pure light. They pulsate and undulate with colors you've never seen before, colors that shouldn't exist, but that here dance in an impossible harmony. It is as if the rainbow itself has come to life and expanded to include hues that mortal eyes have never beheld. Your gaze is drawn upward, and you are breathless. The ceiling. No, it's not a ceiling. It is as if the entire cosmos has been condensed into this single space. Galaxies spiral lazily, nebulae expand in silent bursts of color, and stars twinkle as if giving you a cosmic wink. Every once in a while, you catch glimpses of what seem to be portals opening and closing, offering fleeting glimpses of realities that your mind can barely process. You lower your gaze to the ground and are surprised again. Beneath your feet, though you feel no weight, stretches a sea of living crystal. Your every move sends ripples of light that spread out in all directions. But it's not just visual. Each wave seems to carry a melody, as if the ground itself is singing in response to its presence. And then, the music surrounds him. It's not just sound. It's an experience that touches every fiber of your being. Millions of voices come together in perfect harmony, each distinct, but part of a transcendent whole. There are layers to this celestial symphony. The angelic choir with its crystalline voices that seem to heal your soul. The deep roar of living creatures that makes the very foundation of heaven tremble. The soft murmur of the redeemed, each voice telling its story of salvation. And, underlying all of this, a cosmic resonance, as if the stars themselves were singing their silent adoration. Your senses are flooded. Every note of this celestial music is not only heard, but seen in bursts of color, felt as waves of pure emotion, and even savored as the sweetest nectar. As you try to take it all in, you realize that the space around you is alive with movement. Beings of pure light fly in complex formations. They are the seraphim, the celestial creatures closest to the throne of God. Each has 6 wings, 2 covering their faces in reverence, 2 covering their feet in humility, and 2 with which they fly. Their bodies seem to be made of living fire, constantly changing and flowing. They sing incessantly, their voices uniting in an eternal refrain. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come. With each proclamation of holy, a wave of power sweeps through the entire heavenly hall, causing everything to vibrate in resonance with God's holiness. Among the seraphim, you see other angelic creatures, cherubim with their 4 faces and bodies covered with eyes, thrones that look like wheels within wheels, turning and emitting lightning, and other angelic hierarchies whose glory can scarcely be described. And then, your gaze is drawn to the center of it all. There is the throne. To call it simply throne seems an insult to Her Majesty. It is the epicenter of all creation, the focal point of the entire cosmos. Made of crystal clear jasper, bright red sardonyx, and emerald of an impossible green, the throne pulsates with a life of its own. A rainbow surrounds you, not like a simple arc in the sky, but like a living, multidimensional aura. Before the throne, 7 lamps of fire burn continually, the 7 spirits of God. And encircling the central throne are 24 lesser thrones, occupied by the elders who represent God's redeemed people. They are dressed in pure white, with gold crowns that seem to contain stories of faithfulness and victory. His eye is drawn to a crucial detail. In the right hand of the one who sits on the throne, there is a book sealed with 7 seals. You know, without anyone telling you, that in this scroll is contained the destiny of all creation. The presence of this sealed book creates a palpable tension in the air. The whole celestial scenery, magnificent as it is, seems to be waiting, anticipating the time when these seals will be broken and the divine secrets will be revealed. You are here, a witness to this scenario that transcends imagination, a participant in a moment that is about to change the course of eternity. And as you try to absorb the magnitude of what you see, you feel like something monumental is about to happen. The splendor of the celestial hall was still reverberating in his senses when, suddenly, absolute silence took over the room. It was as if time itself had stopped. His eyes, still adjusting to the glory that surrounded them, were drawn to an imposing figure that appeared in the center of the hall. He was an angel, but not just any angel. His stature was so colossal that it seemed to simultaneously touch the crystal floor and the starry ceiling. His presence was so magnetic that even the seraphim interrupted their eternal song to observe him. This was undoubtedly one of the most powerful archangels, perhaps Michael the heavenly warrior or Gabriel the divine messenger. The angel raised his voice, and when he spoke, it was as if 1,000 thunders resounded at the same time. Who is worthy to open the book and to break its seals? The question echoed through the hall, crossing dimensions, shaking the very foundations of the universe. You felt the weight of those words not only in your ears, but in your soul. It was as if every atom of his being understood the gravity of that moment. And then, silence. A silence so deep, so absolute, that it hurt. You looked around, looking for some reaction. The 24 elders bowed on their thrones, their faces a mixture of anxiety and hope. The stars on the celestial ceiling seemed to dim their brightness, as if they were also waiting for an answer. Time passed. Seconds, minutes, maybe entire ages, and no answer came. The powerful angel then began a frantic search. You watched him soar through the heavenly realms, his majestic form dwindling in the distance as he scoured every corner of the sky. It then plunged toward the earth, becoming a ray of light that briefly illuminated the globe. Eventually, he descended further, probing the very realms of the dead. With each return of the angel, the expectation grew, only to be crushed by the same conclusion. No one was worthy. No one in heaven, on earth, or under the earth could open the book or look into it. It was then that the gravity of the situation began to weigh on you. If the book could not be opened, What would happen to all of God's promises? What would become of the redemption for which the whole creation groaned? You felt the weight of millennia of unanswered prayers, tears shed, hopes deferred, all depending on the opening of that sealed book. The realization of this awful truth set off a wave of lament that swept through the celestial hall. You saw John, the beloved apostle, fall to his knees, tears streaming down his wrinkled face. His sobs seemed to carry not only his own sadness, but the disappointment of all the faithful throughout history. The elders bowed their heads, and for a moment, the glow of their golden crowns faded. A deep, harrowing groan emanated from creation itself. You could feel the mountains shaking, the oceans roaring, the galaxies faltering. It was as if the entire cosmos understood that its ultimate fate was at stake. Darkness began to spread to the corners of the heavenly hall, threatening to swallow the glory that once shone so brightly. The crystal floor beneath your feet shook, and for a terrible moment, you feared that the entire structure of the sky might crumble. But then, a glimmer of hope. The 7 lamps before the throne, representing the Spirit of God, continued to burn steadily. The rainbow that surrounded the throne, a symbol of God's faithfulness, maintained its soft but steady glow. And from the golden bowls of the elders, the incense of the saints' prayers continued to rise, a sweet fragrance in the midst of anguish. These subtle signs whispered a truth his heart struggled to believe. God's plan could not be thwarted. Even in the face of this seemingly insoluble dilemma, there was a silent promise that the story would not end there. You found yourself caught between 2 conflicting feelings: the overwhelming reality of creation's inability to save itself, and the tenuous but persistent hope in God's unchanging faithfulness. The air was charged with anticipation, as if all of creation were holding its breath, awaiting the next move in this cosmic drama. And so you waited, along with all heaven and earth, for the unfolding of the next act in this grand, divine narrative, knowing that what would come next would change the course of eternity. The deafening silence that followed the question of the mighty angel seemed to weigh heavily on all creation. You felt despair growing in your chest, the feeling that all hope was lost. It was then that a voice, gentle but full of authority, cut through the darkness that threatened to engulf everything. "Don't weep." Your eyes, clouded by tears you didn't even realize you were shedding, focused on one of the 24 elders. He leaned toward her, his face radiating a compassion that seemed to warm his very soul. "Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has overcome to open the book and its 7 seals." His heart leaped. A lion. Of course, who else could be worthy? You turned around eagerly, expecting to see a majestic, ferocious creature worthy of such a title. His eyes scanned the celestial hall, searching, and then you saw him. He was not a lion. Between the throne and the 4 living creatures, in the midst of the elders, was a lamb. The initial shock gave way to a deep understanding that reverberated through his being. This was no ordinary lamb. He appeared to have been slain, marks of a violent sacrifice still visible on his body, but he was standing, alive and majestic. As you watched, amazed, you began to notice details that defied comprehension. The lamb had 7 horns, symbols of perfect power and complete authority over all kingdoms. 7 eyes shone with supernatural intelligence, representing the 7 spirits of God, absolute omniscience. With each step the lamb took toward the throne, the very fabric of reality seemed to ripple. Reflections of his earthly journey flickered in the air around him. A humble stable in Bethlehem, the churning waters of the Sea of Galilee calming beneath his feet, multitudes being fed with multiplied loaves and fishes, Gethsemane, drops of sweat like blood, and finally, the cross on Calvary, where the lion became the sacrificial lamb. Each step echoed through eternity, retelling the story of divine love that humbled itself to redeem fallen creation. As the lamb approached the throne, you felt a change in the heavenly environment. The seraphim, who had never ceased their eternal song, seemed to sing with a renewed intensity. The brightness of the 7 lamps before the throne intensified, as if they recognized the presence of the 7 spirits in the Lamb. And then, in a moment of indescribable glory, the Lamb came before the throne and stretched out his paw, no, his hand, for now you saw him as he truly was, the God-man, Jesus Christ, in all his resurrection glory. He took the book from the right hand of the one who sat on the throne. The instant the Lamb's fingers touched the scroll, a wave of power swept through the entire heavenly hall. It was as if the whole creation breathed with relief and joy at the same time. The colors seemed to grow more vibrant, the music sweeter, the very air charged with an electric expectation. And then, as if a dam had broken, worship exploded. The 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb. The sound of their harps filled the air, mingling with the sweet aroma of incense rising from their golden cups. The prayers of the saints throughout the ages finally answered in this cosmic moment, and they sang a new song, their voices rising in a harmony that made their heart flutter with every note. You are worthy to take the book and to open its seals, for thou wast slain, and hast purchased men unto God with thy blood from every tribe and tongue and people and nation. And you have made them a kingdom and priests for our God, and they shall reign over the earth. Every word of the song seemed to come alive before his eyes. You have seen countless multitudes from every nation, tribe, and tongue, redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. He has seen the story of redemption unfold, from Eden to this glorious moment, every life touched by the sacrifice of the Lamb, shining like a precious jewel in the crown of restored creation. And worship grew. Millions of angels joined the choir, their voices rising in a crescendo that shook the very foundations of heaven. Worthy is the Lamb that was slain to receive power and wealth and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and praise. The music reached a climax that you thought your being couldn't bear, and then it went beyond. All creation joined in the cosmic song. To him who sits on the throne and to the Lamb, let it be praise and honor and glory and dominion forever and ever. At that moment, you understood. The Lion and the Lamb were one. The strength to overcome and the humility to sacrifice, united in the person of Jesus Christ, the only one worthy to open the book and reveal God's purposes for creation. As the Lamb prepared to break the first seal, you knew you were about to witness the unfolding of the divine plan in all its glory and mystery. The story was far from over. In fact, the most exciting chapter was just beginning. The moment when the Lamb took the book from the hand of him who sat on the throne, it was as if time itself suspended its march. A reverent silence fell over the heavenly hall, so deep that you could hear the beating of your own heart. But this silence lasted only a fleeting instant. Suddenly, as if a cosmic floodgate had been opened, a wave of sound erupted, filling every atom of space around it. It was music, but not like any music you've ever heard before. It was the birth of a new song. The 4 living creatures were the first to move. Their manifold wings spread in a gesture of total reverence, their bodies covered with eyes focused entirely on the Lamb. The 24 elders, in a synchronized movement that seemed choreographed by eternity itself, prostrated themselves before the Lamb. In his hands, the golden harps began to vibrate, apparently of their own volition. The strings emitted notes that danced in the air, visible as threads of silver light that intertwined, forming complex patterns that told the story of redemption. The sweet aroma of incense rose from the golden bowls the elders held. You could see each prayer of the saints throughout the ages rising like spirals of fragrant smoke, each distinct, yet part of an olfactory symphony that complemented the nascent music. And then they started singing. You are worthy to take the book and to open its seals. The first line of the chant exploded like a supernova of sound and light. Each syllable carried the weight of cosmic history, reverberating through the dimensions. You have seen, as in a living kaleidoscope, scenes of the creation of the universe, of the fall of humanity, of the promises made and fulfilled throughout the ages, all culminating in this moment. For thou wast slain, and with thy blood hast purchased men unto God from every tribe, tongue, people, and nation. As these words were sung, the very air around him transformed. You've seen faces, millions, billions of them, flash before your eyes, each unique face, each one precious, each one redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. Isolated tribes deep in the forests, megalopolises pulsating with life, peaceful villages and refugee camps. From every corner of the globe, redeemed souls joined the celestial choir, and you have made them a kingdom and priests for our God, and they shall reign over the earth. With this stanza, you felt the ground beneath your feet change. It was no longer the crystal sea of the celestial hall, but it was continually transforming. It was the sacred ground of the temple in Jerusalem, the earthen floor of an underground church in Asia, the wooden floor of a Gothic cathedral, the asphalt of a street where believers gathered in secret. Each location was a testimony to the kingdom of priests that the Lamb had established. The song grew in intensity, each note charged with power and truth. You found yourself unable to resist. Your own voice joined the chorus, even though you didn't even know the words. It was as if the song itself was inscribed in his spiritual DNA, awakened by the presence of the Lamb. And then, like concentric waves expanding from a stone thrown into a pond, worship spread. Millions upon millions of angels joined in, their voices rising in a crescendo that made the stars themselves tremble. Worthy is the Lamb that was slain to receive power and wealth, and wisdom, and strength, and honor, and glory, and praise. Each attribute mentioned came to life before his eyes. Power. You have seen empires rise and fall, always subservient to the eternal plan of the Lamb. Wealth. Countless treasures, not just gold and silver, but the infinite wealth of divine grace poured out on creation. Wisdom. Entire libraries of human knowledge seemed like mere childish scribbles compared to the eternal wisdom of the Lamb. Force. The same force that sustained the galaxies in their courses was the force that had rolled away the stone from the tomb. Honor. You saw every knee bowing, every tongue confessing the name above every name. Glory. A brightness that overshadowed the sun, the glory of the only begotten Son of the Father. Praise. The very concept of worship seemed to be redefined at that moment. The music reached a climax that you thought your being couldn't bear, and then it went beyond. The song expanded, embracing all of creation. To him who sits on the throne and to the Lamb be praise and honor and glory and dominion forever and ever. In this moment, you felt every atom of your being vibrating in harmony with the cosmic chant. You saw planets dancing in their orbits to the rhythm of music, stars pulsing in sync with the heartbeat of the Lamb. Sea creatures in the depths of the oceans, birds in the heights of the skies, even the rocks and mountains, all came together in a universal chorus of praise. The new song wasn't just a song, it was a living reality, a creative force that was reshaping the very fabric of the cosmos. Each note carried the power to heal, restore, and transform. Old wounds were healed, broken hearts were mended, lost souls found their way back home. And you get the idea. This new song wasn't just about the past or the present. It was a prophetic declaration of the future, a glimpse of the day when all creation would finally and completely be restored. It was the soundtrack of the new creation that the Lamb was about to inaugurate. As the song continued to reverberate through the dimensions, you felt a deep certainty take root in your being. The Lamb was worthy to open the book, worthy to reveal the divine mysteries, worthy of all praise and worship. And so, with your heart overflowing with gratitude and wonder, you prepared to witness the next act in this cosmic drama, knowing that every note of the new song had been but a prelude to the wonders to come. As the new song continued to reverberate through the celestial hall, something extraordinary began to happen within you. It was as if every note, every word of the cosmic hymn was penetrating not only his ears, but every fiber of his being. Initially, the sensation was subtle, a tingling in the fingertips, a rising warmth in the chest. But as the worship intensified, the transformation became undeniable and overwhelming. You felt like you were being undone and remade, molecule by molecule. It was painful and ecstatic at the same time, as if every part of you that wasn't aligned with the holiness and glory of the Lamb was being gently but inexorably burned and purified. His eyes, which had previously struggled to absorb the glory around him, began to adapt. The colors became more vibrant, more real than anything you had ever experienced on earth. You could see the golden threads of divine grace weaving through the tapestry of creation, connecting all things in a pattern of indescribable beauty. His ears opened in a new way. Now, you didn't just hear the song. You felt it, saw it, tasted it. Each note was a complete symphony in itself, telling stories of redemption, victory, and love that spanned through the ages. His heart, which had previously beaten with an earthly limited rhythm, now beat in perfect sync with the heart of the Lamb himself. Each beat was a declaration of holy, 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 echoing the eternal chant of the seraphim. Memories of your earthly life flashed before your eyes, but not as you remembered them. Now you viewed each moment through the lens of eternity. That bitter argument with a loved one, now you saw how God used that conflict to mold both you and the other person, preparing you for this moment of glory. The failure that left him devastated for years, it was actually a turning point, where his dependence on God deepened, allowing his grace to shine even brighter in his weakness. The seemingly unanswered prayers, you now saw how each of them was carefully considered, woven into the great carpet of the divine plan, with responses that unfolded in ways you could never have imagined. Tears began to run down your face, not tears of sadness or even joy as you knew it, but something entirely new. It was as if every drop contained oceans of gratitude, rivers of newfound understanding, cascades of pure, uncontained love. As the transformation deepened, you felt your being expanding. Not physically, but spiritually. It was as if the limitations of his earthly existence were dissolving. You have begun to perceive realities that were previously beyond your comprehension. The intricate interweaving of the prayers of the saints throughout the ages, forming a living tapestry of intercession that covered all of history. The cosmic dance of the angels, their missions and movements a complex choreography of protection, guidance, and spiritual warfare that stretched across dimensions. The eternal weight of glory being wrought through the momentary sufferings of the church on earth, each trial a blow of the divine hammer, molding vessels for honor. His perspective changed radically. The concerns that had once seemed so important, career, status, material possessions, now seemed insignificant compared to the glory that was being revealed. At the same time, acts of kindness that you had considered small and insignificant, a smile for a stranger, a word of encouragement for a friend, a whispered prayer in the middle of the night, now shone like beacons of hope in the tapestry of eternity. You have felt completely exposed before the holiness of God. Every thought, every motive, every secret desire laid bare. But instead of the judgment you might expect, you were inundated with waves of unconditional love. It was a love that not only accepted you as you were, but also saw you as you were meant to be, fully restored, completely fulfilled in divine purpose. The sense of belonging that took over you was overwhelming. It was like coming home after a long exile, an exile you didn't even know you were living. Every part of his being resonated with truth. This is where I belong. This is who I was created to be. And then, at the height of this glorious transformation, you realized something that took your breath away. You weren't just observing worship. You had become a part of it. His very existence was now an act of continual worship. Every breath, every thought, every fiber of his being was aligned in perfect harmony with the eternal purpose of the Lamb. The distinction between worship and worship began to dissolve. You understood, with a clarity that transcended earthly understanding, that this was the very essence of worship, not something you do, but something you are. As the new song continued to echo through eternity, you found yourself transformed, no longer a mere spectator, but an active participant in the great drama of redemption. And you knew, with a certainty that shook the foundations of reality, that this transformation was only the beginning. As the transformation in his being continued to reverberate, his attention was inexorably drawn back to the center of all this heavenly glory, the Lamb, and the book he now held. The book. It was no ordinary volume, not even by heavenly standards. At first glance, it looked like an ancient scroll, but the more you looked at it, the more you realized it was much more than that. The edges of the scroll seemed to extend beyond visible reality, as if it contained not just words, but entire dimensions. The light emanating from the book was unlike anything you had ever seen. It wasn't a uniform glow, but it pulsed with a rhythm that resembled a cosmic heartbeat. Each pulse sent out waves of energy that you could see rippling through the fabric of reality. His eyes, now able to perceive realities beyond the physical, noticed something extraordinary. The book was written inside and out. The words on the outer surface danced and moved, telling the story of creation as you knew it. But through these words, you could glimpse an inner text, deeper and more mysterious, that seemed to contain the secrets of God's own heart. And then there were the stamps, 7 of them, each pulsating with its own energy, each an impenetrable barrier between the known and the unknown. The first seal shone with a pure white, so intense that it made her eyes water. In it, you saw reflections of horses galloping, of crowns being bestowed, of kingdoms rising and falling. The second seal emanated a deep, unsettling red, images of swords, of conflict, and of peace being taken from the earth danced on its surface. The third seal had a black glow that seemed to absorb the light around it. Scales and measures floated in their darkness, along with whispers of hunger and scarcity. The fourth seal had a sickly yellow color. The shadow of death hung over him, accompanied by visions of plagues, famine, and wild beasts. The fifth seal pulsated with a vibrant blood red. You could hear the cry of martyrs emanating from him, his prayers for justice echoing through time. The sixth seal appeared to contain a miniature universe. Stars, moon, and sun danced on its surface, but in a chaotic and disturbing way, as if the entire cosmic order was about to be shaken. The seventh seal, it was different. It did not emit its own light, but reflected everything around it like a perfect mirror. Looking at him was like looking at the mystery of eternity itself. As you contemplated these seals, you began to understand that they were not mere barriers. Each was a key, a portal to an aspect of the divine plan that would unfold in time and eternity. The Lamb moved to break the first seal, and you felt the very fabric of reality tighten. It was as if all of creation was holding its breath, waiting for the moment when the mysteries contained in that book would begin to be revealed. In that instant, suspended between expectation and revelation, deep understandings flooded his mind. You have seen how every event in human history, from Eden to this moment, has been interconnected, every choice and every consequence weaving the complex carpet of God's redemptive plan. He understood that the book contained not only the future, but the past and the present as well. It was the complete record of the interaction between the Creator and His creation, the story of divine love written on the pages of time and eternity. He realized that each seal, when broken, would not only reveal future events, but also release divine power to shape reality according to God's eternal purposes. He understood that the contents of this book were not only informative, but transformative. Each revelation would change not only the course of history, but the very nature of reality. The anticipation grew to an almost unbearable level. You knew you were about to witness the unfolding of mysteries that had been sealed away from the foundation of the world. Secrets that prophets longed to know, that angels longed to behold, were about to be revealed. And yet, even in the face of this impending revelation, you felt a deep peace, because now you understood, whatever the contents of that book, whatever events would unfold with the breaking of the seals, it was all in the hands of the Lamb. The same Lamb who had been slain, but was now alive forever. The Lamb who was worthy. The Lamb who had won. As the Lamb prepared to break the first seal, you found yourself completely surrendered to the mystery and majesty of the moment. Whatever came next, you knew it would be part of something greater than you could have ever imagined. The unfolding of God's eternal plan for all creation. And so, with a heart full of awe and wonder, you awaited the moment when the first secret of the sealed book would finally be revealed. In the blink of an eye, the celestial hall disappears. The cosmic song fades away like a distant echo. You find yourself back in your familiar world, but nothing feels the same. Their eyes flicker, adjusting to the ordinary light of their room, but still retaining traces of the glory they witnessed. Their hands tremble slightly, as if they could still feel the vibrations of the new song. Your heart beats at a different rhythm, as if it has been tuned to a celestial frequency. You get up, walk to the window, and look out. The world looks the same as it always does. Cars passing by, people hurrying on the sidewalks, the sun shining in the sky. But now, you see beyond the surface. Each person who passes by is a mystery, a story not told in the great book of redemption. Each ray of sunshine is a reminder of the light emanating from God's throne. As he observes the world with new eyes, questions begin to pile up in his mind like rising waves in an ocean of curiosity. What will happen when the Lamb opens the first seal? Will it be a cosmic event or something more subtle, shaping the hearts and minds of humanity? What forces will be released in the world with the breaking of each seal? Will it be physical manifestations of divine power or spiritual transformations that redefine the very nature of reality? How do the events described in the sealed book intertwine with human history? Are we now living in the moments that were prophesied millennia ago? And perhaps the most pressing question of all, how will this affect not only the fate of the world, but your very life? What is your role in this cosmic drama that is unfolding? You step away from the window, feeling the weight of these questions, but also an electrifying anticipation. The revelation you witnessed wasn't the end of the story. It was just the prologue. The real drama is about to begin. His eyes fall on a calendar on the wall. The dates seem to pulsate with new significance. Each day is no longer just a passage of time, but one step closer to the full revelation of the divine plan. You ask yourself, which page of the sealed book are we living on now? A shiver runs down your spine when you realize the next chapter in this cosmic saga isn't just something to watch from a distance. It's a story in which you're immersed, a drama in which you're both a spectator and a participant. The voice of the celestial narrator echoes in his mind, inviting him to the next act of this divine epic. To discover the answers to these questions and continue this journey through the book of Revelation, join us in the next video, The Lamb and the Seven Seals. Get ready to witness the unfolding of the divine plan and how it connects directly with your life. You will see kingdoms rise and fall. You will hear the gallop of horses that cross the ages. You will feel the trembling of the earth as divine judgments are poured out. But more than that, you'll discover how each seal opened reveals not just global events, but profound truths about the nature of God, humanity, and your own heart. The story is far from over. In fact, the most exciting chapter is just beginning, and you have a role to play in it. Don't miss a moment of this extraordinary revelation, because when the last seal is opened, nothing will be the same as before. In heaven, on earth, or in your own life, you feel your heart racing with anticipation. The boundary between the mundane and the divine has never seemed so blurred. As you wait for the next video, You know you're not just waiting for more information. You're preparing for the next step on a journey that transcends time and eternity. The internship is set up. The lamb is ready. The stamps are waiting. And you are about to witness the unfolding of the greatest drama ever told. The countdown to the next reveal has begun. Are you ready?